Hey guys, Andy back here from Mediocre Hobbies, coming at you with the next installment of the Space Marine Chronicles, a series where I choose a Space Marine chapter. Maybe it's obscure, maybe it's popular, who knows. I do a video teaching you guys how to paint that specific chapter, and then I give you as much information as I can find online about them as well. Some backstory, lore, composition, all that kind of stuff, just so you guys get a little bit better understanding of some of the other chapters of Space Marines that exist out there in the 41st millennium. We are 5 videos deep in this series, and so far you guys have been enjoying it. I have been taking a list of all of the suggested extra chapters, and the one that I'm choosing for today is of course one of the top on the list. People do want to know more about them, and that is of course the Raptors. The Raptors are a Space Marine chapter that actually like to use stealth, and we'll get into that a little bit more in today's video. Before I get into the video, I just want a huge thank you to all of my active patrons. Without you guys, I could not continue doing what I am doing, so from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. If you're interested in getting involved in that yourself, there's links down in the description below. You get access to a private Discord server where you can hang out with me and talk about your hobby on a daily basis. You also get to take part in all the different events that we hold on that Discord, painting competitions and so on and so forth. And also you get access to a daily vlog style video over on Patreon for being a member. So 2 great reasons to be involved. Check it out below. Okay, without further ado, let's get stuck in and get painting this Space Marine. The Raptors are just such a cool chapter of Space Marines, and one which I cannot even begin to delve into all of their lore in a single video. So I will do my best to educate you on this amazing legion of Space Marines, or chapter of Space Marines, whilst the painting is going on in the background. So, the history. They are a Raven Guard successor and a 2nd generation set of Space Marines, so the 2nd founding. So they are quite an old and well-established chapter of Space Marines. As many records of the chapter's history are lost, the Raptor's exact origins are unclear. It is generally accepted that the chapter is descended from the Raven Guard and was one of the first new Space Marine chapters created during the 2nd founding. According to one widely believed theory, the Raptors originated as a Raven Guard Legion company of new initiates training on Deliverance at the time of the Drop Site Massacre. This company was subsequently sent against the followers of Horus in remote parts of the galaxy, thus diverging from the rest of the Raven Guard. Having distinguished itself in the Civil War, the company was subsequently reorganized as a chapter amid the reforms initiated by the Codex Astartes. The fledgling Raptors then began their service to the Imperium as a fleet-based chapter, hunting down the forces of the Traitor Legions in the Great Scouring. Several centuries after their founding, the Raptors were granted a homeworld on the edge of the Eye of Terra, the name of which was lost in the passage of time. Sometime between M34 and M36, the Raptors' original homeworld was believed to have been destroyed sometime during the 4th or 5th Black Crusade. In M37, Imperial records listed the chapter as destroyed or missing in action, the Raptors disappearing for the next 2,000 years. In early M31, the Raptors suddenly reappeared on the Imperial Order of Battle during the Cabernede Wars at full chapter strength. By then, they were based on a new homeworld, Tarragast, within the Sutter Spiral Nebula. However, the Raptors did not reveal their new homeworld's exact location or name to any outsiders, including other Imperials. I'm going to jump some of the lore and some of their other engagements now and jump straight to the Indomitus Crusade. You can obviously look up the rest of their story online, and I do recommend you do so because it is pretty awesome. But in the Indomitus Crusade, the chapter's planet's position in the northern edge of Segmentum Solar resulted in it being amongst the first Space Marines to respond to the return of Rabute Guilliman's call. Understanding the chapter's strengths, Guilliman instructed the chapter master Lys Izudon to provide strike forces for 3 Crusade fleets. Primus, Secundus, and Tertius. They provided invaluable as scouting and guerrilla operations as the Crusade set out into the greater galaxy. Lieutenant Serena's strike force acted as the forward scouts of battle group Orpheus of Fleet Primus, combating Eldar Corsairs along the fringes of the Great Rift. During the battle, Serenus himself led a boarding action upon the Corsair flagship Valanthith, slaying the pirate leader. Meanwhile, the Raptors accompanying Fleet Secundus fought alongside the Black Templars, and surprisingly, the 2 forces got along well and proved to complement each other. While the Black Templars waged direct attacks, the Raptors conducted infiltration, assassination, and sabotage support. In a particularly brave and cunning mission, the Raptors infiltrated the facilities of House Mandracore and eliminated 7 traitor knight nobles. Fleet Tertius contains the largest Raptor contingent and are under the command of Captain Kaisvin of the First Company. Fighting primarily in the Segmentum Solar, they have been engaged in a prolonged conflict with the Crusade of Slaughter and have suffered heavy losses. As the chapter wages the Indominus Crusade, Chapter Master Isodon and his remaining battle bros continue to patrol the Sutter Spiral Nebula, responding to calls for aid and conducting punitive operations against Dark Eldar and Chaos Space Marine raiders. Isodon himself has led several disruptive strikes against orcs in the Vordas system. So we're going to jump ahead a little bit and we're going to talk specifically about their equipment and what they're like to use in combat. Apart from the equipment found within a typical Astartes armory, the Raptors are known to make extensive use of scouts and also keep a sizable contingent of all land speeder variants and transport vehicles. The chapter is notably missing all early trophies, records, and much of its most valuable and ancient war gear due to the destruction of its original homeworld. They are also known to make greater use than perhaps any other chapter of Phobos pattern armor. For heavy support, they make extensive use of Invictor warsuits and fast-moving impulsor transports. The Raptors are well known for their use of camouflage and other equipment, including armor, weapons, and vehicles. There is no fixed pattern, but rather several designs which are utilized depending on the biome they find themselves operating in. Some chapters look down upon these modifications, seeing as unsanctioned and cowardly. So, one of the most interesting things about this particular chapter of Space Marines is that they have different color schemes. And I don't just mean the different patterns of camouflage. I mean, back in the day, the Raptors appeared as a yellow and blue armored Space Marine chapter. In fact, they were called a Raptor Legion in the original color scheme. And in the Badab Wars, they do appear in this old school yellow and blue scheme. Same marking, same Raptor iconography. First appeared in White Dwarf 101, where it was listed, like I said, as the Raptor Legion, with blue and yellow armor. The same color scheme also appears in the publication of How to Paint Space Marines and at the unknown time on the Games Workshop website. So if you guys want to see me paint up one of the original Raptors color schemes, that is also an option. I must say this particular How to Paint video has definitely, I don't know, influenced me more than I thought it would, especially reading that they fight so well with Black Templars, which is my primary Space Marine army. Their backstory is absolutely amazing. I want to just keep reading. I love how they fight, how they operate, and how they look. So maybe a Raptor Space Marine army is something that may grace my painting table sometime in the near future. I may push my salamanders out for the green Space Marine army that I end up painting. Who knows? I also love things like Invictor warsuits and land speeders. So this kind of feels like it's perfectly designed for me. Hopefully the painting in the background has made sense. Right now, all I'm doing is using a sponge to stipple on the same color black that I used for the highlight and the same Leadbelcher paint that I used to highlight the silvers, just to add a little bit of chipping and weathering to all the awesome armor panels. I would love to know what your guys' thoughts and feelings are on the Raptors Space Marine chapter. Obviously, these guys took part in quite a lot of the battles in the Badab Wars, and the Badab Wars is a very, very fantastic source of Space Marine chapters. Very interesting color schemes, awesome amounts of information and backstory, so I could very well make sure that I kind of delve through all the different Badab Wars chapters of Space Marines, so you guys don't miss out on all of them. Things like the Mantis Warriors and stuff are in there, another awesome chapter. Here is the still images that I took of this guy, so give you a better understanding of what he looks like kind of finished painting and what he may look like on the tabletop if you do decide to follow along. Personally, I would have done the base in, of course, lots of like foliage, and I'll do brown earth and lots of grass tufts and stuff, but because all my other Space Marines are done in this basing scheme, I decided, and I had to argue with myself to do it in the matching scheme. But if I decided to do an army's worth, I probably would do the green and lots of flock and grass tufts and stuff to have them blend into the surroundings just a little bit better, I think. Maybe. Okay guys, and there we have it. A Raptor Space Marine is now painted up and ready to go. Or should I say the later edition of the Raptors. Obviously they had a very different paint scheme when they were originally created. Now they've moved over to this green camouflage style armor due to, I think, the Badab War. So I'm really happy with the result. I think he looks really cool. I could totally see an entire army of these guys on the table. I don't know whether I would paint an entire army, but I would definitely paint at least a kill team in this color scheme, or a boarding patrol, and that'd be particularly cool. Hope you guys enjoyed this. You learned a little bit more about the Raptors chapter of Space Marines. Make sure you put that in the description below or in the comments below what other Space Marine chapters you want to see. Make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all future uploads. It costs you absolutely nothing, but it makes a huge difference to me. Thank you guys so much for sticking around at the end of the video, I'll see you in the next one.